Hello, my name is Chris, and this is Bailey, and this is going to be the Dempsey's Difference. So, welcome to the Dempsey's Difference. This is going to be a new project for us to help you guys maybe get more educated on all things jewelry. So, we're going to take this opportunity to discuss different things about the jewelry industry, about what we do on a day to day basis. And today, we're going to talk about jewelry care and jewelry maintenance. All right, welcome back. And as we discussed before, today we're going to cover jewelry care and jewelry maintenance. Bailey, a lot of times customers come in, they ask us, how should we care for our jewelry? So today we want to talk about that a little bit. Jewelry becomes very sentimental very fast. A lot of times, maybe it's that special day you remember when you walked into a jewelry store, you saw that piece in a showcase, you bought it for yourself, or maybe you picked it out and your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever came back and purchased that item for you.
Yeah.
And or maybe it was given to you as a gift. Maybe it was given to you by someone very special that's very close to you. Or unfortunately at times, right, jewelry is handed down from generation to generation. Maybe it's someone who's passed away. And so jewelry becomes very special. You never forget why you were given that piece of jewelry. Well, I think sometimes we forget that jewelry needs to be maintained. It needs to be cleaned.
Absolutely.
It needs to be taken care of. Just like a vehicle, just like a home, requires maintenance and inspection and care. So does jewelry. And so today we're going to talk about 5 basic ways that you can care for your jewelry and or maintain your jewelry. Number 1, make sure you have your jewelry inspected. Here at Dempsey's, when you come in and you want to have your jewelry inspected, we're going to clean it. We're going to look at it under a microscope. We're going to check for loose stones. We're going to check for missing stones. We're also going to check those prongs, the channels, whatever it is holding those stones. We're going to make sure the integrity of that metal is still good and strong and sound. And then also we're going to lightly polish it and clean it in our ultrasonic cleaner. If it's something that can go in an ultrasonic cleaner, that's something else we'll talk about. You do have to be careful what things you put in an ultrasonic cleaner. Well, we're professionals, so we know what can go in the ultrasonic cleaner and what cannot. But you definitely want to have your jewelry inspected. And we actually recommend that you have it inspected by a jeweler, especially someone you can trust, at least twice a year, if not more. And the benefits of that, here at Dempsey's, we don't charge to do a basic inspection and cleaning. So, I mean, it's just an added benefit to come in. Maybe we can catch something before something happens. Oftentimes
Absolutely.
we catch a prong that's bent, or we catch a prong that's broke, or a stone that's loose, and we can go ahead and tighten that up before it falls out, and then you have to pay for that.
So, being out front for almost 4 years now, I would say that my number one question is how often should I have my jewelry looked at? And multiple people come in and say, "Oh, well, I haven't had this thing checked in 20 years." And I'm like, okay. So, I then explain why it's important to have that piece checked and tell them, here's 4 prongs that are really loose. I should point out the issue and say, in a couple weeks, there's a good chance that this stone may come out due to the lack of metal on the top and over the sides of the stone. So we do catch lots of little things that save you from a heartache down the road.
Yeah, and those, even though they're little small diamonds, those diamonds can add up.
Yeah.
And they can be very expensive to replace when maybe all we need to do is tighten it down or rebuild a prong
Yeah.
or strengthen that setting somehow. So, just have your jewelry inspected, number 1. Number 2, avoid certain chemicals. Oftentimes we probably don't talk about that enough, that there's a lot of our household cleaners, a lot of the things that we may do day in, day out in order to keep our house and our cars or our homes or whatever it is clean. Those chemicals can actually harm jewelry, especially some gemstones. And, it's even, you need to be careful about getting in swimming pools and hot tubs with your jewelry on. Especially chlorinated swimming pools or hot tubs. That chlorine, that bleach can actually pit jewelry. It can actually pit gold and other metals and other alloys. And then not to mention those chemicals can be really harsh on some gemstones. So you want to be really careful about certain chemicals as well.
Yeah, we see a lot of times girls coming in with their Pandora and they're like, I got in the hot tub with this and, it's turned black. And they're like, I don't know what to do. Well, that is a reaction from the chlorine or whatever chemical that was in the pool. And a lot of times it's really upsetting if it can't all be cleaned off and that kind of thing. So it's just a way, again, to keep you from a heartache down the road.
And even like regular things that like lotion, hairsprays, perfumes,
Yeah.
all those continue to add like little layers of film on your diamonds. And you'll look down one day and you'll think, my stone just doesn't seem to shine like it once did. But that can be taken care of. But just be careful what chemicals you're using at home, because those things can hurt, harm, especially soft stones like pearls and porous stones. You want to be extremely careful with. So be
Opals are a
careful.
big one.
Opals are another one, absolutely. Turquoise and other
Mm-hmm.
Soft stones. So just be careful what chemicals you do expose your jewelry to. Number 3, so how should you clean your jewelry? You definitely want to clean your jewelry. As a basic jewelry care and maintenance tip, keep your jewelry clean. Not to mention it looks great when you do that. So we just said what you cannot use. What can you use? Well, the greatest home remedy for cleaning your jewelry is nothing better than just warm soapy water, some mild dish detergent maybe, and a nice soft brush you can use. And let that jewelry soak in that warm soapy water. It'll break down those lotions, the oils, and right now especially hand sanitizers, right? We're all using every single day. It builds film on those stones, and so it takes the life away from those diamonds and the gemstones. And those stones are not able to be as brilliant and lively as they once were. But again, that warm soapy water and just a small soft brush will clean that off and make them look awesome again, like the day you received them.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but an old toothbrush works really
It
good.
does.
That's got really soft bristles, and it can get into those deep cracks and crevices
Absolutely.
and break down that buildup that's on your jewelry.
Number 4, where should you store your jewelry? That's a big question we often get. And I think this is one that we probably overlook the most. This is where those chains get tangled up the most. This is where metals get scratched and worn against each other. And it's because oftentimes we come home, we're maybe in a rush, or we're excited to get home finally and see our families, or we're getting home and if you're like me, there's a million things you've got to get done. So you might take off your jewelry and you just throw it on the top of a dresser, or maybe worse, you just throw it in a drawer, or maybe you sit it somewhere and you don't even remember where you set it. So there's a sign to be careful about, where you store it, because you don't want to lose it either.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Obviously, the ideal situation would be a nice, cool, dry area, especially like a fabric-lined jewelry box, especially in a safe would be a safe place to keep it. But the nice advantage to those fabric-lined drawers would be in keeping it separated. So keeping your pieces separate from each other, not just laying them on top of each other, because metal burnishes metal. So, metal laying against other metal is going to maybe scratch it up, or diamonds against diamonds can scratch, the surfaces. So you want to be careful with those things. And it's important that we try our best to keep those things separated. So maybe even like wrapping them up in cloths or tissue would be a good option if you don't have a jewelry case or a separate lined box that you could keep them in.
Yeah, for sure. And a safe is always a good idea for if you're going out of town, that kind of thing. You're not taking your jewelry with you. It's always really smart to go ahead and lock up your jewelry in a safe, because you never know what could happen while you're gone.
Absolutely.
And it's just protecting yourself, really, even if it's just a small 30-minute fire safe.
Yeah, they're not that expensive. You can pick up and
yeah, for sure.
And have. Not to mention, for ladies, your husbands would always probably love the idea of buying a safe. So maybe you can encourage your husband to buy that safe. You'll make him happy, and you'll be happy too, because you'll have a safe place to keep your jewelry. And then that kind of leads to number 5, basic jewelry care and maintenance. Insure your jewelry. Oftentimes when we sell a piece of jewelry, we'll ask the customer, would you like to have an appraisal on anything that you purchase from Dempsey's? We like to offer you an appraisal for insurance purposes, so that you can get that piece of jewelry insured. It's so important to have your jewelry, especially your valuable jewelry, insured. Now, you might ask, why do I need to have it insured? Isn't that costly? It's actually not as expensive as you may think it is to have your jewelry insured. You can check with your homeowners. There's other certain jewelry insurance companies out there that just specialize in jewelry only. They'll be glad to give you a free quote. We're not insurance specialists by no means, but you can contact an insurance specialist, talk to them about your jewelry, let them know that you'd like to have it insured, and find out what your options are. You never know when something might happen. Accidents happen. People lose things. As you mentioned, theft is a major, unfortunately, can be a reason why you've lost your piece of jewelry. And one thing to remember is insuring your jewelry is never going to cover the sentimental value of that piece, but it definitely helps monetarily. Not to mention, a lot of insurance companies will even help you with maintenance. If prongs need to be rebuilt, or heads need to be replaced, or settings need to be, dealt with that could be costly sometimes down the road, insurance will help pay for that.
And that's what I was going to say. A lot of times we have people come in and they've lost one of their little diamonds down the side of the shank. And they're like, oh my goodness, am I going to have to pay for this? And by the way, Dempsey's has a 3-year warranty on those little side stones when it's purchased from us. However, say it's the 4th year and they're like, my warranty just ran out. Well, guess what? They have Jewelers Mutual insurance, and Jewelers Mutual is actually going to cover the cost of that stone. So it's really not just to protect yourself from theft, loss, damage, to keep up your maintenance. It's a really affordable way. And I know that I've heard people come in and say, that jewelry insurance you were talking to me about, I pay $5 a month for it.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really
you
not
can
that
really
expensive.
get really good rates depending on what you want your premium to be, if you want to pay monthly kind of thing. So it's definitely something that I encourage everyone to look into.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in and watching the first edition of the Dempsey's Difference.
If you have any questions from today's show, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Or if you'd like to call into the store, we'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
And if you have any ideas or topics that you'd like to see discussed in our Dempsey's Difference, do the same. Comment below or call us or email us. And we'd love to hear what you have, maybe the ideas you have that you'd like to have discussed. But from all of us at Dempsey's Jewelers, we hope you have a blessed day.